I also very clearly remember this very young man coming in and feeling that I could feel the fire in Victor's eyes immediately. You could feel that he wanted this. I'm happy that I had a few moments with Victor before I quit.
Victor, Peter sounds like he's had a very busy 1994. What did you do in 1994?
That was the year I was born.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Average No Average podcast. I am CK.
I'm Victor.
And I'm Peter.
And I think so. Peter is our guest today on the podcast. Clearly, for badminton fans, I think Peter needs no further introduction. Peter, you're an icon to us. You're an icon to a lot of badminton fans, having won at every single level of elite badminton, from juniors all the way through seniors, and then now continuing pushing on at the elite level. But you're also successful not only as a player, but also a coach, but also in terms of your businesses as well. You have the Peter Gade Academy in multiple locations in Copenhagen, but then also traveling a lot all around the world, looking at scouting, with Yonex, the Legends Vision project as well. So yeah, we would love to tap into a lot of that. Today we'll start very, very quickly. In terms of icons, we actually have two icons here sitting with me today in different locations, in different eras. Peter, how do you feel in terms of being an icon? Do you feel the stress or nowadays, or now you've seen a lot of it, you just go, this is normal now?
It kind of depends on which environment I'm in. So in my everyday in Copenhagen, and of course there will be badminton people. I will meet somebody who recognize me or whatever. But for me, it's quite normal. It's quite natural. I don't think I've ever had any negative approach in any way. So I feel very lucky and very privileged in that aspect. If I move into doing events with badminton now as well, of course, also moving in with Victor in a coaching position, of course that creates more attention. But I know about this, and that's part of the game.
Victor, when you're traveling with Peter as well, I'm sure in Denmark people stop you both a lot, and I think previously you've mentioned that maybe in Dubai, where you're based now, people don't often stop you, but in Asia, I'm sure it's difficult sometimes, no?
I remember the first time I was with the national team back in, that's a long time ago, before I moved to Copenhagen. It must have been 2010, 2011. And that was my first experience with, seeing the actual interest. Back then, Peter still active in Malaysia. That was actually a good experience for me to see how much attention there was around a player of Peter's level. So obviously, it's something, again, as Peter, we have very early in our careers, we have had experiences with this kind of interest when we are in badminton environments. There are some places where they don't know anything about badminton, which is also nice. But again, it comes also with the job, you can say, and it also just shows that it's good for the sport, because without the fans, we would not be able to make a living of the sport. And so I've had good experiences, both seeing Peter as a player, and of course also now when me myself have been on the tour for many years.
Yeah, and speaking about Malaysia as well, Peter.
Sorry,
I
think if you choose to kind of do this, it's a choice of life. Like Victor is saying, we start off very early in our life, just focusing 110% on this journey with badminton. And if you get to a certain level from an early age, you will have many years on a high level where people will know about you. And it's just part of the game. And I'm sure both of us also followed some of the big idols and stars, not only in badminton, but also other sports. And for me, it's also a responsibility that you have to acknowledge, and you have to use it in a good way. It's a responsibility for the sport, for your fans, that you have to acknowledge it and kind of bring something back as well. And that's how I see the kind of icon status. It's not something that I seek, and I'm sure that for Victor, it's also a bit the same, that we accept when we are in the heat of the moment, when we're in a badminton environment, that's how it is, and there's a lot of attention. but we also like to step out of it on occasion.
Definitely.
Yeah. I love that you used the word responsibility, like that you don't you don't take it very lightly, and I think you both have given back to the badminton community in many ways, many different ways, on court and also off the court. I also want to talk about Malaysia at this point in time, because obviously whilst we're recording this, the Malaysia Open is on. You both have had a lot of history with Malaysia. Peter, starting with your World Junior Championship, I think you were Kuala Lumpur, no? 94?
Yeah.
Is that correct? 94?
Yes. That's a long time ago.
And
That was the year I was born.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Tell us, like that. Well, there's that connection first, and then also like, because you won in men's doubles, not singles.
Yeah. Well, actually, just to start off with your question, I actually think my story with Malaysia started about half a year before, at least some months before, where we had a test event, because we had to try off how it was to play in Asia. So we went to Malaysia. We went to Penang Island, which is actually a place where badminton is hugely popular as well. And we've had Malaysia Open, I think, some few times as well in Penang. So I played an exhibition tournament some months before, and that was a huge experience for me. I was actually able to win it. But the number of spectators taking part in this very local tournament was just amazing. And then the World Juniors came along, something that I prepared for a long time, together with my coach, Michael Kelsen at that time, and it was a big thing for us. And actually, I got beaten in the last 16 by a left-handed Indonesian called Ferry Kibar in a long three set match, and I was so devastated after the match that I was out of the tournament, not able to win a medal in the singles tournament, and I was just sitting there. Everything was shit, And Michael was but the coach was also devastated. Well, both of us were. And I think about 45 minutes after, we had to go back and play men's doubles. So I didn't have time to really sit for hours, or just to feel the kind of pain of the loss. I had to get back into it, and I didn't want to, but I did it. And then match after match, that's what happens sometimes. You can play free, and I think both my partner Peter and me, we enjoyed to play, and we managed to go all the way. So we didn't expect that, but that was quite a good experience.
Okay, just a side question, because I'm from Penang Island, so I'm biased with Penang Island. Yeah, so I'm born and raised in Penang Island. Where in Penang Island did you know where you had that tournament?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry, it's a very long time ago.
Around the baker.
If you have the grocery store that's in the city square, then you turn right at the no, I have no idea. But what was jokes aside? But what was amazing on this, not only on the Penang tournament but also World Juniors, there was a very high number of spectators. It was like a Super Series tournament, like a big tournament today. And we were only very young players, so it was quite amazing to see the turnout and atmosphere on this. And of course, the Malaysian players were under extreme pressure. That was the first time I saw this. So you could also feel the passion and the pressure in Malaysia already from when they're playing a World Junior set.
Okay. And then Viktor, Peter sounds like he's had a very busy 1994. What did you do in 1994?
I didn't do much. But again, it just shows like the history of badminton, especially in those Southeast Asian countries, and especially Malaysia. It runs very deep, and it's very, very important for the sport, that part of the world. And we both had so many good experiences there, me, myself included, from a young age. And that's something I'm sure that also after the career, Peter, he already knows that this is something that, you will remember for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And then, so in terms of the connection of where you two are working together now, previously, Victor, how old were you when you came to Copenhagen? Because Peter was still back in the national team back then, no?
Yeah, he was. I think in around when I won the World Junior Championships, around then in 2010, 2011, it started like slowly. Usually you would
Mm.
be over there for a week or so, or then you would come over there over the summer and stuff like that. Yeah, I remember it very clearly. I was very nervous and very green at that time. And Peter obviously was someone who I've been, I remember at the Copenhagen Masters, the exhibition tournament. There was like, back in the days, there was like this, there was the day before the Copenhagen Masters where the best players, Peter included, would come and train beforehand. And they would pick out a player who we came from Funen. We drove all the way to go see it. And they would pick out a player from the crowd to go in and play a few rallies. And I
Okay.
was I had all my gear on, and I was hoping so bad it would be me, but it wasn't me. But yeah, and I have pictures of me standing in line, getting Peter's autograph and stuff like that. So going there to train with the best players was a big thing for me back then. And you are very nervous when you come in for your first training at the national center. So I remember it very clearly. It was a good experience for me.
Yeah. And then, so Peter, I must ask you some questions about this. Obviously, Victor was very nervous in the first few sessions that he was with the national team training with you guys. Do you have any interesting stories? Did you make him puke on court, like drag him on 3 sets, something like this? What happens?
Well, of course, like Victor is saying, and I also think we talked a bit about it since that it was not that easy to just join the session. And Victor could feel, okay, there is a certain way we do things here. And probably I was not holding back in showing, like, this is how if you're going to feed on my court, okay, this is how it's going to be. But I also very clearly remember this very young man coming in and feeling that it was kind of two-sided, because I could feel the fire in Victor's eyes immediately. You could feel that, even though he was a bit, of course, a bit stressed about being there, he wanted this. So it was not a feeling of him being scared of being there or anything like that. You could see, okay, he wants this. And we started to play some matches against each other. We some sets, some exercises, whatever. And I could at that point, I was in my later stage. I was not able to play the same aggressive game as I've done when I was at Victor's age or younger. So I played a much more controlled kind of style game. And Victor, he was just all in. He was just crazy all in on all his attacks, on everything. And I was like, when I played him, I was like, yeah, you can do that once or twice, but you're not gonna hit the line once again. And actually, he went for it again, and his attack, as you know, is crazy good, and it was already crazy good. So I had that feeling, like, and a bit annoying feeling there. Yeah, but you can't do that. You're not going to be able to play like this for a whole match or a whole. And it was just, when I look back, it was just amazing to feel this young player's courage to say, yeah, this is what I do, and I want to attack no matter what you say. And yeah, it proved that he had something to that attack. That's for sure.
Wow.
But I enjoyed having him around, and I'm happy that I had a few moments with Victor before I quit.
Okay. And then also, fast forward a little bit, how did you both end up working together? Like, obviously now, Peter, you're in the coaching chair, and Victor, you're on court, working together as a team now, as not as opponents.
Well, it was sort of me who reached out to Peter because I felt like at that this stage in my career, Peter obviously has the experience that I need in order to again, Peter, he was touching a little bit on his play style. He wasn't able to play the same style, etc., etc. And that's the same thing for for most of the players. You have to economize a little bit better. You have to do some technical changes, maybe technical changes as well to your game. And I think that Peter has is the best at that. And yeah, unfortunately for me, I've had so many issues with my body. So I'm very, how can you say, I'm very sad that I haven't been able to really follow through the way I wanted to. But there's some things you just can't control. But that was basically how we got together. And again, we have known each other for so many years. And yeah, there was no doubt for me that Peter would be the right man, at this time in my career.
Mm-hmm. And just talking about a little bit more about working together, how does it work now? It's because currently you're based in Dubai, and then Peter, you're based in Copenhagen. But I see you both at tournaments whenever it's out there.
It
How does
might be
that work?
better. It might be better to talk about how it was, before I really got injured.
Yeah.
In the good weeks we had. And Peter, you can explain on that, like how maybe you saw the start and how you approached this position.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about when Viktor approached me about and suggested if I were interested in becoming his coach for this part of his career. Of course, it was something that I was very honored, and I respected a lot that he came to me, and but I also, of course, gave it a lot of thought, mainly because for me, I admire Viktor's career so much. I know he's won everything, so if I was to go in, I was to contribute with something, and I'm very well aware of what I can do, what I cannot do. So of course I gave it some thought, but of course there was also a huge fire in me and passion in me, saying that would be amazing to work with Viktor, to see if I could add a few percent here and there, because that's what we talk about. When we talk about a player at this level making this kind of results for many years, for a long period, then it is small things we're talking about. It's not big changes. And I was very well aware of this, that this was my job and my responsibility. And also one thing is that we talk as friends, I follow Viktor's career, I follow on the sidelines, whatever. It's another thing when you go in close up, work together. You are in very intimate, close situations on court where everything matters. So that's another ball game. And for me, it was also a learning process to know Viktor even more on these aspects. And this part has been, no matter the injuries, which has been extremely tough for Viktor in this period, then for me it's been very, very a great experience to work with Viktor on this, to experience this process of getting to know each other better. Each one of us, I think, respecting the things that we bring in, and I just hope that we will get a chance to do it again, and that would be a great honor for me to do it again.
Yeah. Did you also learn that he doesn't do avocado with oats throughout the working process?
CK is eating
He doesn't
avocado
do
on oatmeal. He's eating avocado on oatmeal.
on oat milk. Wow. That's
Exactly.
okay.
That was my
That's a combi.
that was my reaction.
Yeah.
But Peter likes avocado.
Yeah, I can do avocado. Yeah.
But not on oats.
Not
That's
on
crazy.
oats. No, I haven't seen that one before.
Me neither.
I think I can contribute. I think I can contribute with a few strange habits as well, probably.
Yeah, I mean, so in terms of quirks, because obviously at the level that you both were playing in your heydays, there's always a very structured routine, right? And now, so because the positions have swapped a little bit, so Viktor is now the player, and then Peter, you're now the coach. In terms of routines, do you both just discuss and then like, okay, this is what we're aiming for, this is what we're targeting, and then this is what this is how we're gonna work, and then you both just go at it professionally?
For me, the first and main part of this process is that this has to be on Viktor's terms. This is not me trying to push things through. Of course, I bring my views on the table for Viktor if I have some ideas, some perspective on things. But the main thing here is that Viktor is the one driving this. So this will be on Viktor's terms, and I will see where I can accommodate the best way possible. And my job is to make him feel comfortable, make him feel safe in all areas, kind of, be a good sparring in every area before the games, in between, in whatever period we are in. This is my job, and I have to be there all the time. I have to have a positive approach to this. Also an honest approach, which I believe Viktor appreciate. But have a positive and an honest approach at all times.
Take me back a little bit to last year. We're in 2026 now. Last year's Denmark Open. So obviously you both were on court. Peter, you're on court side coaching, and then take me back to that feisty match against Suichi. You were talking a lot on court. Yeah, semifinals.
Yeah,
Last year. Yeah, the one last year against Suichi, the semifinals. So on court, it was a tough 3 sets. You both were talking a lot on court. Obviously, I couldn't understand Danish. What was kind of take us through a little bit of that mental capacity of what was kind of mainly mentioned in that sense? Was it more tactics? Was it more, it's okay, don't worry, chill, calm down? Or is it okay, my back's hurting, what's happening?
Actually, my back in Denmark Open was quite okay. It was not before French Open where it started to become, worse and worse. I think that Denmark Open was sort of you could say it was one of those tournaments where it actually gave me and us belief that okay, this can be really good again. Of course, the next week they happened with the back, but nevertheless, it was, to me, not a surprise, but the matches we were able to pull together during that tournament with everything that was going on, both on and off the court, was actually one of the proudest. If I look back, it would be one from a mental and just preparation, and actually with the cards you have on hand, the result I was able to get will be one of my proudest moments of my career, looking at everything that was just going on. So there was I needed a lot of conversation during that time. I was still in China and Hong Kong. It was, again, a shit trip for me. I was sick in Hong Kong, and China, I should have been further in the tournament, being completely honest. So I was very disappointed and doubted myself a lot. So the win, especially against Kunlavut in Denmark Open, and also the match against Suichi, I think, it was a great, so many good lessons, and also so many, things you can learn from that match in terms of the player and the coach working together. I needed a lot of conversation, and for Peter, it wasn't easy, because there's so much pressure on home soil at Denmark Open as a Danish player. It's hard to describe how that is. But that's how I saw, those moments. I needed a lot of support, and I think Peter almost felt like he was playing himself during that tournament.
Yeah, I think Viktor describes this very well, and of course you have to remember this was the semifinal, so already we had some really tough matches, and Viktor had to battle a lot with the belief, with staying in the focus, believing in his game, trying to add in a few things here and there. So I think, like Viggo was saying, he can be really proud of what he achieved in this tournament, and we were playing the world champion. And Viktor has been out for quite a long time, and playing the current world champion at home. I think Viktor was leading actually in the first set, so we actually had an opportunity also to take the first set. Even though we didn't, we came back, and so that this match had everything. It had so much tension, it had so much drama, it had it all, and I believe this is what both of us enjoys about badminton, and to play these matches. And no doubt that Viktor gave absolutely everything in this tournament. In the current match, it was not enough to win, but definitely we had the opportunity, and just that fact, I think, was amazing. Looking at the kind of build up and what happened in the months before. So I agree, it was a great experience. It took it took a lot for me to keep Viktor in the zone, in the focus, and but I think he did amazing. And for me, it was a great experience. It was a great challenge for me to handle that.
So I have a few photos coming from the side, looking at you, Peter, on the chair, where you feel like you were so far ahead in the chair that you were almost falling into the court, like in the corner, like you were curled up into a ball where you were just leaning forward so much, where I think at some point you almost fell into the court. Yeah, I mean the coaching chairs are quite far nowadays, but because it's so loud, can you, like, when you're shouting to each other, can you actually hear on court? Like, do you actually hear each other on court?
But that's exactly why I really have to shout very loudly to Viktor for him to be able to hear what I say, because it's extremely loud. The spectators were quite close to the court in this aspect, so I really have to. And Viggo at the same time is in his kind of match focus, so. Yeah, it takes a lot, and at the same time, I need to be calm. I need to have a calm attitude when Viktor is looking at me. I cannot be up here all the time, or I need a calm attitude. I think to create some comfort for Viktor. That's what I was trying to do. But of course, I feel the tension, and I want it so much. So of course, I'm into the game.
And you just mentioned that the crowd is so close. So, for example, during the matches happen, so obviously the player, I'm sure you're in your bubble, like you're just locked in, completely focused, and whatever comes out at that point in time, because it's part of the game. Peter, for your situation, now that you're on the coaching side of things, do you worry ever, or like the crowd can hear what you say and then they judge you in that moment? Do you ever worry that they can hear what you say?
I'm sorry, guys. I wasn't able to hear what you said. There was a
okay.
a blackout on my side. Can you repeat?
Yeah. So the question was, do you actually ever worry if the crowd can hear what you say? Because obviously, like you said, the crowd was so close, and obviously everybody's Danish on that side, and you're speaking Danish. Do you ever worry that they judge you based on what you say? Because of sometimes there's a lot of emotions, or you could be saying, like, play him a certain way that can be taken out of context. Do you feel judged, or do you worry about what gets said, or it's just part of the game?
Well, if you decide to go in there, that's part of the game. One thing is I don't care so much about what people can hear from the outside or whatever. They will never know the context of which I'm saying what I'm saying. Another part is what happens on court when the mics are on. I'm sure today all coaches, all players, they are aware that everybody can, you can hear what's being said between a player and a coach. So, which for me, honestly, is actually a bit special. If you put in a mic and a camera in the dressing room with Manchester City and Liverpool playing, I think it would be a bit tricky to do that. But I can also see it's quite interesting for the fans, for the viewers on TV, and so I accept that that's part of it. And Viktor and me, I think we found a good way to handle that. I feel okay about that. And you have to accept that some parts will be judged or whatever. Some will judge that from the outside. That's part of it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because obviously, like Viktor as a player, something happens on court and there's a lot of emotion because there's a lot of at stake. There's a lot at stake going on, right? And so if it comes out, it comes out, and then you address it later on. That's how it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I've said many things, in between the sets or whatever, bad words or, it's a part of the game. You are under, it feels like you're going to war when you're in there. So of course you're gonna express what you need to express. And, I think that's a competitor, right? That there is situations where you need to come out with something. And I've never really been worried about that, to be honest.
Yeah. So I want to touch one more thing about the court. So from the notes here. So Peter, a few years ago, you might remember playing with me on the All England finals morning on court. I think recently there was like a little meme that I made with my team where I have a good partner, so you have the good player, good serve, good smash, and then I'm the good morning, good afternoon, good night guy. So so that was kind of the meme. But in that meeting, I remember you once told me that, for example, it's very difficult for TV fans or even the fans inside the hall to really feel and judge the conditions on the court. And so what that meant was they can't see the drift, they can't feel the drift. And so whenever you walk onto the court, like they can't feel it until you start hitting a shuttle, right? So how in both your positions, how do you think in terms of TV production, what can we do to make the fans feel or at least get closer to the action by that? Because at the Denmark Open, the fans are very close to a coaching chair. They could feel the energy, they could feel the tension. On TV, I'm not sure. I don't think so. But then, in your opinions, what do you think? I mean, this is quite a hard question, I think.
Yeah, you mean like how to kind of make the viewers understand what drift really is. Of course, you know the commentators, they talk about it, and even then it's very difficult for the viewers to have a feeling about it. Yeah, I don't know if you can put in some if they can kind of measure the drift in some way, like they're doing the weather and some. I don't know if that's possible. Everything is possible today, but and then put them in, you know, like on different sides of the court, and you can see, okay, some drift is coming from here, some drift is coming from here, but it's going to be very tricky. But one thing you can be sure of is that it's a lot more than you would expect. You know, it's like it can be half a meter, it can be 1 meter, it can be like you actually have to aim like 30 centimeters, like 50 centimeters outside the court for the shuttle to drift in. And to be able to do this, you know, it's really not easy. And it's only the best players in the world that are able to control this and understand this. And you can actually, from a coaching point of view, that it's something you can take advantage of in some way. And also, there's a lot of difference between playing a singles match and a doubles match in regards to the drift.
Can you explain it a little bit more? What type of difference did you mean in terms of the singles and the doubles, the difference in terms of using the drift?
I think in the singles, you are able to take advantage of the drift in another way. It's not the same when you have two players on court. When you have it's a different kind of game, and we have seen in the past also from a coaching position that we can have some tactical aspect that we kind of want to implement from all the singles players going into a tournament. Okay, we can do this when we're on this side. We can actually play more like this. We can step more forward, whatever. And in the doubles, it could actually be that the good side in singles is not the good side in the doubles. Because then it's more important, you know, that you have the drift with you and you can get through with your attack. And so there are different aspects depending on singles or doubles, definitely.
There's also, like in the doubles nowadays, they serve so good, they, you know, receive so good. So the first 3 shots are so important. While in singles, it's often that we get into these rallies where, you know, the drift becomes a huge factor. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So recently, I made a piece of content that was published on BWF's TikTok, asking the question: is serve or choosing sides more important? I certainly think at the professional game, choosing sides is more important than the serve, because serve is 1 point and choosing side is a whole game.
In the singles, you know, and also in the doubles, but in singles especially, you know, choosing sides is of course what you would choose, and what every player chooses if they win the draw.
Yeah.
I agree.
So just to add on the Denmark Open side of things, on a Saturday night, I actually stepped on court and managed to play on the court, and I completely suddenly understood the amount of drift that was there on one side of the court. Like on one side, you just do a half clear and it would go out, but on the other side, you clear it and I'm only doing a half court shot. So that was a huge difference that fans on TV or online couldn't understand. Even I think the ones in the hall sometimes not necessarily understanding how big that impact is. So yeah, without stepping on court, it's actually quite difficult to actually describe that. Okay, I want to quickly move on to the second part.
You will have other
Peter,
factors. You will have other factors that could affect the game as well, and you can't compare match by match because, okay, you can have maybe 2 hours earlier than Viktor is playing. It might be the stadium might be half full, and then once you get closer to Viktor is playing, it's completely packed. In the minutes before, and so the temperature will be different. It's gonna have another feeling, and you can never just say, okay, the drift is gonna be exactly the same the day after. There's so many things that will affect it. If they have been able to, on semifinals or finals, they are able to maybe open the doors some hours before. If it's in the earlier rounds, you could have you would have played in the stadium for the whole day. So many things will affect the conditions.
Is it a general consensus where the more people that's in the arena, the harder it is to play? Or
Yeah, it will often get faster when the more people come, the temperature rises. Also, it depends a little bit on the shuttles. What kind of shuttles there's used. Also, they can test it in the morning sometimes, and maybe, in the last part of that morning, more people will be there. So there's just so many things, and actually, you don't really know. You have to be, ready to adapt, and that's just a part of the game where I think that's the most underrated part of the game, where people they can maybe sit and look at a match and be like, why is he lifting out, so much, or why is he having so many mistakes there? But it's so small things, and there can be changes during a match, and it's very, very hard to describe how challenging that is.
Okay. Yeah, because I think this is something that amateur players will never be able to experience, and then I think it's not discussed enough actually anywhere or ever that the conditions changes throughout the day, and then we understand that they do shuttle speed testing early in the morning before matches start, 1 hour before. But then, like you said, if it's a like say Malaysia Open hall, you have like 8,000 people packed in there. And then so by midday, the condition of the hall that was tested compared to this morning is different already, I'm guessing. And then so, yeah, when the big matches are played, which is, for example, Viktor, your matches, is always later in the evening, in the afternoon, where the hall is fully packed. Yeah, so the conditions are different. And then generally, because of the warmer conditions, the shuttles are a little bit faster, hence a bit harder to control. Okay, this is interesting. This is very interesting. And then, so the next part that I wanted to move on to is you both have successful businesses that you run whilst you were playing. And then Peter, for you, now transitioned fully business coaching. Coaching is part of the business. How was the transition for you, Peter? Like, so when you've decided, okay, I think it's time to call curtains on the playing career, the transition straight into, because it felt like you were fish into water, from the outside, very, very far watching.
Yeah, well, I actually did have. I started doing the coaching thing already when I was having my career. I was, injured for about 1 year, 1.5 years, and in that period, because I was not able to do a lot on court, I actually started some youth talent project. So I was already touching base with the coaching thing at that time. But when I finished, I also had a feeling that I couldn't just go straight into it. I needed some time. And because of that, I did some ambassador work for Danish companies going into Asia to see if that could be a kind of way for me. But I will also be honest and say, after I did this for a couple of years and then the opportunity with France came, and this was also the decision to go to France was also a life decision on kind of touching base with another country, learning about another country. So that was part of it. And also something in me said, maybe I need to go back in some way. And I have so much respect for what this sport has given me, but also I know that it will bring back a lot of routines, a lot of feelings, a lot of this is a way of life, and this is what I've been doing for all my life. So I also wanted to bring other things into my life. So for me, it was a balance, but I can't escape that I ended up in a combination now where badminton for sure is a huge part of my everyday. And honestly, I actually enjoy it very, very much.
Maybe you can explain a little bit about your other business, Peter. What is the other business you have besides your sport, like the
Yeah.
PGK?
About 2 years ago, I actually started a wine business, a wine import here in Copenhagen, together with actually a few other former badminton players. It's called volant, which means shuttlecock in French. So this was some, wine, music, food, whatever. I knew I had to bring in some other stuff because otherwise it would be too much, and I would go the same way as all my life. So for right now, it's actually a really nice balance for me, and I enjoy that there's a little bit of both. Because I also have to accept that I need that in my life.
Mm-hmm. So are you like a certified sommelier or something?
No, I'm not a. I'm just an. How can you say? I learned by
Consumer
experience
of wine.
for many years. So yeah, so I've been collecting. I've been doing tastings. Of course, ever since I quit the game. So I've been into wine. I know so many people in the wine network here in Denmark and in other parts of Europe. So this was a question of, okay, would you turn the hobby into kind of a work thing? And I decided to do that, and it's been an amazing journey so far. And I have been able to, to combine both the badminton world and this project. So it's a nice balance for me, and I'm really happy that I had the courage to take part in it.
Perfect. And then Viktor, obviously now, with you being out of the world tour a little bit, that means you also have more time to spend on your businesses, no?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, we don't have to go into big details, but again, I think as Peter says that, I think it's important to have, for our personalities to have something else. It's a big world, and many of the things you learn, especially being an athlete and an individual athlete, I think you can bring that into the business world in many regards. Yeah, you want to dip your toes in some different stuff, and I think that's the same for me. When my career is over, that you want to make sure that you diversify a little bit and open up the world, because you've basically, if you want to get to where Peter, has been and where I have been, you have to, you can't focus on too much else. And, then when you retire, there's an opportunity to spend some time on other stuff which will give you value. And I think it will be the same for me.
And so
I would also add to this that also now knowing Viktor than I did in the past, and my own experience of course, when you're in badminton and when you get closer to the time where your career finishes, you're at the limit. You've done this for so many years. There's so much pressure. You have to deliver results week by week, and you are like, okay, I'm finished. No more. I need time off. I need to do something else. I need to do nothing for a long period. Just lie on the beach, whatever. But honestly, it's not gonna be like that because neither me or what I believe, maybe I'm wrong, but what I feel with Viktor as well is that we have so much. We have so much fire and energy going on anyway that we want to do something. Also, if it was on the private side, being with me and saying, okay, Peter, now you just have to stay inside doing nothing for 4 days, or being on a beach doing nothing for 5 days, it's going to be a nightmare to be with me. I need to do something. I need to have something going on, a project or something that brings passion into what I do. And my feeling is that it's a little bit the same with Viktor already, and he's starting to put things in place that he can do for when badminton is finished. And I'm sure he will do well on this part. Yeah.
Viktor, so obviously your playing career is not done yet, but then I think this question also applies to you, Peter and Viktor. If you were to both start again from scratch, imagine you're a junior player just coming up, 14, 16, 18, and then knowing what you know now, what would you change?
Maybe you can take that first, Peter.
Thank you.
I can also, if you need time, it's a long time ago for you. Maybe
Yeah, I can't remember. Oh, yeah, back in the Stone Age. Yeah. No, honestly, it's a very difficult question because there's so many things changed in the circumstances, so it's very difficult to compare. But to be totally honest with you, I don't want to change anything. This was how my career was supposed to be. It came out this way, and it made me the person that I am. So I don't regret anything, and it's not that yes, I wanted badminton so much that I put everything in. But it's why I could say, or maybe you should have, protected yourself a little bit more, being a little bit more careful, whatever. But no, that this is how I am, and I gave everything I had, and this was my journey, and I have to. I respect that, and I don't regret anything.
Nice. Victor?
Yeah, I think it's the same. I agree with a lot of Peter saying. I think you can go back and in hindsight, there's many things you would have done differently. I was very, very hard on myself. But that's also the reason why you get far, right? You are, the actually the pressure from other people and stuff is, of course, that's a part of it. But the pressure from, myself, ourselves is by far the biggest pressure, or has been for me. So when you have lost matches where you didn't really feel like you would lose, or if you had a bad practice when you were younger, that was your whole world back then, right? And of course you would have been able to be a little bit more rational about everything, but you don't have those tools in your toolbox when you're young and coming up. So it's a learning process, and that's also the beauty about being and especially an individual sport like badminton, where you don't have teammates. On bad days you can't just play the ball to your teammate. Everything is with you, and there are so many lessons to be learned. But it's also something you have to learn to deal with, and it's that's why the game is so beautiful, also in my eyes.
Yeah.
And it's just that's why I also mentioned what I did before with how to handle career afterwards and how to be active. Or it's I don't believe you're gonna go all the way in this without being a little bit crazy. You're not gonna move through a career like this smoothly without ups. It's gonna be a bit crazy, and the personality that you need to do this, it's not normal. And I think that's you have to accept that you're maybe not going to be able to live a normal life, going to work, maybe also afterwards, after you finish your career, going to work from 8 to 4. That for me, that's definitely not going to happen. I will not be able to do that. So it's part of it, and I, like Victor is saying, of course I can also look back and say, yeah, maybe Peter, you should not have been this hard on yourself in some periods and put that much pressure on yourself. But this was part of how I do things, and because my passion for this was on a crazy level. So I'm also really that also made me reach the level that I did, and made me do the things that I did in my career. So yeah.
I mean, I think you cannot be extraordinary if you want to be ordinary, right? So like you said, I think the passion and the obsession for perfection, or chasing that perfection that's in your head, I think not many people can actually truly relate to the pressures that you guys have gone through. But I think people watching from the sidelines, like me, sometimes like we can feel the amount of intensity and the sacrifice that you all have put in to your lives to get to where you are. And and I think it's really, really good response, like really, really good answers. I really appreciate that. I want to move on to one more thing. So, Peter, you've played through a lot of scoring changes. I mean, I say a lot. You have the 15 points with the serve. You then have the 5x11. You then have the 3x21. Now we're going to do 3:15. Victor, how many score changes have you gone through? Two.
I think only 2, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
One,
Peter, you've done like 5, no? So, well, soon to be 5. What do you see? What do you foresee changing?
Well, it's a difficult with 15. Yeah, you might see some players being able to kind of keep high speed, the aggressive game. That this will be a little bit more easy, if you can say. You might see some small adaptations in this part. The fact that whether you're gonna see whether it's more likely that you would see more surprises or things like that, I'm not sure. I think players are also more prepared for changes today than they were back then. Yeah, honestly, to be totally honest, I would like to have seen the scoring system to 11. For me, that would have been a more interesting uh, change in the game, and I think that would have been a bigger change to the game.
Oh yeah, because Victor, you also mentioned that you would have preferred 5 to 11, no?
yeah, I think that for the sport, I think it would be great to see, how it would be both from a viewership and nowadays talking about the sides. The sides are playing a big difference, and I would also like to see like maybe changing the side a little bit, maybe one time more than we do now. Yeah, it would be interesting to see the changing of the scoring system, that we get to these exciting points in a match sooner and more often. I think it would be good for the viewership and good for the spectators. And I think from the people who are nervous about like the physical aspect, I think over time, players will develop, and you will for sure also see those, the physical part of the game still playing a huge role. So yeah, I agree with Peter that it would be nice to see, how that would be at the highest level.
And then, so Peter, you work with a lot of European players that you have at your academy. They're the next cycle, right? Essentially, like the ones that you're working with day in, day out. What do you see is the difference, or at least the changes coming through? Is the gap getting bigger to the leading countries in Asia, or is it getting smaller? What's happening? Like you have your feet on the ground, a lot closer to many of us. So what do you think?
To be honest, what I've seen in the past years, following World Juniors, the Europeans, the Asia Junior, etc., that the Asian countries, they kind of continue this very strong stride they have on how to develop young players, how to put them in a position for the future very very soon in an early age. They have a structure that proven to work for many years. Yes, I think I see countries like China, like Korea, like Japan, like adapting and changing some parts in order to be adjusted to how badminton is today. But they are doing it in a very structured and a very professional way. And the same goes for more Asian countries. So on the broader prospect, there's no doubt that the gap is getting bigger. Honestly, I see countries like France have improved a lot in recent years. Denmark is still trying to hold on, but the European countries, they really have to uh, put on the A game now. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I have something coming up here. Can you hear me?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know
Yes.
what it is. It's some kind of I don't know if it's Siri or something like that. That's and I never use that, so I don't know if that's coming in. You want me to start all over? Or
No,
I don't know
just
what it
continue.
is.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Just continue.
Okay. Sorry. So the European countries will definitely need to up their game, and the big challenge about this is that this is not something you do in a few years. This is something that will take 5, 8, 10 years before you're able to put in a structure that creates a player that are able to compete with the best Asians. And yes, we can have the perspective that European players, they will peak later in their career. But once again, when you look back at Victor, you look back at myself and Carolina, and so we actually were quite high also on the world ranking from a very early age. So I think we need the European players to be of a certain level in their younger years as well. We have seen also with the French players, with Christo, with Alex Lanier, that if you are in quite a high level in the younger years, you are able to compete on the senior level. I see some sparks coming here and there in some European countries that we might not have seen before, and this is really nice to see that we have countries that did not produce high level senior players are starting to do something, and on that aspect, no doubt that the game is more global. We have many coaches that are either from Europe or from Asia that are placed all around these European countries. So hopefully they can bring something in the coming years. But I will not. I have to be honest and say that the gap is getting bigger, and I think the Asian countries is just going with the same high speed as they've always done, and Europe really needs to catch up to not to be to fall too much behind.
Yeah, I mean, from the non-expert side like me, the only thing, the very clear difference that I can see from players like Ubaidallah or Farhan from very young age is their physicality. Like when you watch the World Juniors, like they're physically so developed. Like for example, like Alex Lanier, like he's super young, but he's physically so developed. And so when they play the World Juniors, like Huzaan as well, he's so fast. And so. Yeah, like that's the difference. But in terms of skill level, are Europeans the same level at skill? It's just the physicality difference, which takes longer time, I guess, when you're a junior.
Well, there's different aspects to it. One thing is definitely the physicality, and it's not unnormal for us to see that most of the Asian players are more developed on the physical side. I would also say there's a difference on the Asian countries on this part. So there are some Asian countries like China, like Korea, possibly Japan as well, where the players are a lot developed on the physical side, and it means something when they play a World Juniors, for example. But for me, it's also the tactical side. It's like when you look at the way they play the game, and no matter singles or doubles, you can see, okay, are they already starting to play a senior game? And honestly, the best Asian countries, when they play the World Juniors, they are already playing a senior-like game. And for most of the European players I see, they are, with some exceptions. Like I said, I think France are doing really well on this part. Denmark have some sparks. Some European other countries have some sparks. But overall picture is that most of the Europeans are still playing a junior game. And this is a challenge, and I think we need to see more European players gaining experience from possibly already playing some senior tournaments from an early age, and kind of forming their game. So when they play World Juniors or they play Dutch Junior or German Junior, which in my opinion is quite important tournaments for European players, you need to see the shape and the understanding in their game that they already know. Okay, this is how we are supposed to do when you play a senior game, and I would like to see that a lot more from the European players. And I think on the skill side, I think it's more difficult to compare because you could have late bloomers on these parts. So
yeah, Viktor, would you mind explaining a little bit more junior game and senior game? So I mean, I understand that, but then obviously from the elite side, if you two can explain a little bit more, what does it mean junior game? What does it mean senior game?
It's it's often, if you know something about badminton and you have experienced yourself at the senior circuit and you watch some rallies and stuff, it can be, I know Peter, he was talking about, me playing very attacking game, but, for the junior players, they, first of all, the defense, their ability to play the longer rallies and the balance between like being able to defend and wait for the counter attack and stuff like that, you can say it's very short-sighted the way some juniors are playing. They want to go for the easy kill, they want to go for the cross net shot, and get an easy winner here and there. While the more experienced, more senior circuit players, they're willing to sometimes, even sacrifice maybe a little bit in order it can be push the opponents a little bit, back in the court or play more front and stuff like that. So it's like the bigger picture within the match that the senior players are focusing on oftentimes. While, the junior players are only thinking, a millisecond ahead sometimes. That's how I would explain it to maybe the people who are not really into it the way we are.
Yeah.
But it's also
Peter,
the
anything?
attitude. Yeah, it's also the attitude. The way they react on court, mental attitude they show towards your opponent, towards possible challenges happening, towards spectators. Towards the conditions happening on court. If there's a bit of drift, etc. You can see if they are really understanding. Okay, wow, this is actually part of playing on senior level, because the World Junior Championships will be played in a big stadium. There will be a bit of drift. There will be some spectators, and we also we talked about it a bit earlier, about drift and stadium conditions, and this is also a part of what we have to expose to the young players in a very early age, in order for them to understand. To become a good player on senior level, you need to handle these conditions. And that's also what I see, from a World Junior Championship. It could be the first tournament a European player plays at all in conditions like this. And you can see that in the attitude. You can see how they handle, or it's the same if an Asian player is on the other side and showing a tough mental attitude. How do you handle that? Do you get back at him or her in a positive way, or are you just scared and you just you kind of get beaten a bit by the attitude from the other player? There's so many things in this, and you can see it immediately, and that's where you can also see who are made for this, who are actually in for this for the long run, and the potential is there for them to take this on for the long term.
Okay, well, I appreciate the amount of time that we're gone. I do have one last question for you both. So Peter, you mentioned the King's Cup earlier on. You've been to the King's Cup. Was that your first time? That was your first time, no?
That was my first time at the King Cup. Yes.
Okay, so
it's only been 2 times.
Before we go to that's only been 2 times. Victor, what are your thoughts about the King's Cup? And then Peter, what are your thoughts about being there in person at the King's Cup?
Like from the outside, it looks like a great event. There's a lot of spectators. It looks like, there's a lot of, it's a good show. It seems like, and it's a good platform for the players. I like that. Some of the younger Chinese players seems like they are in the tournament as well, having some good experience and stuff. I think it's looking from the outside, it looks like it's a great initiative.
Yeah,
Peter, what was your experience?
I was actually quite impressed about the setup, about the professional way of handling all the event. For me, that was on a really, really high level. And like Victor is saying, you can clearly feel that they are doing a lot of things in the tournament for the players. They are trying to create the absolute best conditions for the players taking part, and they are trying to create the absolute best conditions for the spectators. So it is they're trying to make a full experience where it is for the best of the sport in some way. There are not other perspectives they have to consider in this, and you can really see this. And I think it's a good. I know that the BWF is also trying to do the best they can with the big tournaments, but no doubt that this is good inspiration, and people should definitely look into how they are doing this, how they are setting up this event. It was really a big pleasure to be part of it.
Nice.
Can we see something like this in Asia?
Except for when I had to go on court.
I saw you play doubles, and then at some point you walked off.
No more talk. I can't hear you. It's breaking off. I'm sorry.
No, it was absolutely amazing. Because I was there not last year, the year before, the very first one, and then in my head I was like, where in Europe can we have something like this? like in my head, I was just thinking, like, in terms of the organization, the resource needed, where can we even do something like this as a commercial private event? Like the amount of resource that's needed in Europe to hold something like this is quite considerable. Yeah.
Definitely. That's a good
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely think it's possible. I think it's possible. I know it's not easy, but there's not. This is also a question of having the courage and of course finding the right people to put the money into this. But definitely, I think it's possible with the amount of interest we have from Asia, and we have European players on the highest level from different countries. I think it should be possible. And they do it in with a lot of big events in tennis. So of course we can do this with badminton as well.
Yeah. Like I like that the business model is completely different, because normally at a World Tour tournament, the business model for the fan is you come in at say 9 a.m. and you can leave at 11 p.m. because it's so long. So unless you're a really hardcore fan, you don't really stay that long. Whereas say the King's Cup, it's a 3.5 hour event. It's like going to a concert. You go to a concert, and then after that it's done. Bam. And then and what's really good about it is they're also able to fill the stadiums as well. So it's quite a big hall to be honest. It's not a tiny hall. And yeah, to be able to do that. But I get that it is China, so they do have an unfair advantage in terms of the interest of the sport, but also the investment of the sport as well. So hence, yeah, I think it's a very fair assessment to say you have to be you have to be brave to be able to hold something like this in Europe.
But it's also a matter of even though it's an exhibition tournament, there's still a huge prize money put in the event. Everything is done in a professional way. So this means that the players will handle this in a professional way. So the players will. It's not for fun tournament. They do their utmost best to perform here,
to win.
So it means that the spectators will get a real tournament experience, and that's what I really like about it. So, and I think it will only, if they can continue this, the importance of the tournament next year will be even higher, I think.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
It's also the first tournament that I see with a recovery chamber as well for the players to use.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I think we have to cut this episode here. I really appreciate that. I think we've gone deep with a lot of the conversations and the questions, which we don't often have the opportunity to. I think Viktor, Peter, really appreciate the time.
Thank you, Peter.
You've given us for this one, and then I'm sure we'll see you on the court somewhere, and hopefully we'll see you both together again working on court.
Hope so.
Thank you. See you later.
Thank you so much.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
CK is eating avocado on oat milk. He's eating avocado on oat milk.
On oat milk. Wow. That's
Exactly. That was my.
That's a combi.
That was my reaction.
Yeah.
But Peter likes avocado.
Yeah, I can do avocado. Yeah.
But not on oats.
Not
That's
on oats.
crazy.
No, I haven't seen that one before.
Me neither.
I think I can I think I can contribute with a few strange habits as well. Probably. Yeah.